tell you he loves you more. He loves you with all of his heart, soul, mind, and his strength. He died for you. Paid the ultimate price for you. If you would open your Bible with me. And I want to ask a question before we get started in there. And as we talked a little bit about last week, how do you deal personally, each and every one of you, how do you deal with rebellion? Any type of rebellion. How do you deal with yourself and others? How do you deal with rebellion? Any type of rebellion. All right, let's say you just have a rebellious child or a rebellious co-worker that you're in charge of. Or perhaps just a rebellious friends that just always trying to do wrong or overthrow you. How do you handle rebellion? Personally. I don't need your answers because we all deal with it differently. But Psalms chapter 2 will show us how God dealt with rebellion. Okay? How God himself dealt with rebellion when he had the opportunity to just put it down and just judge it and destroy it. We're going to see that in Psalms chapter 2 that God still showed, guess what? Mercy. Mercy. That's a whole different ball game of how we as humans do things sometimes. When people rebel or hurt or attack us, we do not always desire to be, so to speak, merciful. Our mindset is, you strike me, get ready to guess what? Get ready to be struck, bro. You should have never threw them hands. Okay? And we read how God teaches us to turn the other cheek. But that's not what our flesh tells us to do. That's not how our mind and how we want to operate when someone really attacks us or is trying to harm us. And so let's get into it so you see what I'm talking about. He makes a statement in verse 1, and I said some of this we dealt with last week. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Now notice the two things. The heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing. All right? So, this word rage is kind of in like a tumultuous attitude where you come together and you're just violent and you're mad and you're angry and you just want to overthrow. Okay? Normally, when I was in Somalia, we were, part of our job was to suppress any type of riot, anything that came up. And I remember I was on radio watch at the time, and so sometimes I was out on deployment, sometimes I was in the radio because my job was I was a radio operator. So sometimes I worked in what is called the COC. And in the COC, that's the Central Command. The COC is where all of the brass are at and all of the top dogs and people who make the decision. And one of the decisions we were given, we were told, is that if there is an uproar, if there is a revolt of any kind in the city, send in the heavy guns. Send in the heavy guns and suppress it. Stop it. Well, I got this radio call over the radio, and they said, we got a riot going on. Well, I knew what my orders was. But I cannot perform those orders without my superiors' approval. So I looked at the captain we've got a uproar going on. What do you want me to do? He said, hold on. I thought, hold on. Because that's not what we were told. We were told, stop. I said, sir, are you saying hold on? He said, yes, hold on. So I called back on the radio because they called me and said, you want us to engage? I said, negative. Hold on. When I said that, about a minute later, the door slammed open wide. Bam! And a lieutenant colonel jumped in there and he said, who said hold on? And I looked at that guy and said, that way. And he asked me to step out the room. And whatever went on after that wasn't my plan, but it had nothing to do with me. But what I'm saying is that the mindset was stop this. Suppress it. Keep it from going up. And that's what this uproar, this rage that God is talking about, is the thing that began to try to rise up. Okay? Even in us. The attitude, the mindset of, I don't like what God wants in my life. I don't like how God is ordering my steps. I don't like the direction God wants me to go. And so now I want to rise up and resist God. He said, why do the kings, he said, why do the heathen rage? What is it about them? He said, why? What's their problem? That they are so bothered with the God that they are supposed to be serving. He said, and the people imagine a vain thing. What thing were they imagining? He's going to tell you later on that they got together to overthrow God. They got together to remove God. We don't want God to rule in our life. I don't want God running my life. I don't want God telling me how to live. I don't want God telling me how to operate. So let's overthrow God. Now that's a vain thing. To think, guess what? That you can overthrow God. To think that you can go against God and win. And now that's imagining really, that's really vain right there. Okay, I mean, you can't get away. I mean, really, you got to stop and think that here you are like a speck of dust, and you're looking at a God that is so great and saying, I don't have to obey you. What you going to do to me? You know you don't want to find that out. Okay? You don't want to. All right? And so this is a group of people are a mindset of gathering and resisting. And yet this is not something that is uncommon. This happens even in today. People resisting God. Let's look at Romans chapter 1 and verse 21. Romans chapter 1, verse 21. Because that when they what? Knew God. Well, when they knew God, what did they do? Did they glorify him? Did they honor him? Did they worship him? No. He said when they knew God, they glorify him not as what? God. They glorify him not as God. Now that's something, brothers and sisters, when the heathens operate that way. But what about when the Christians operate that way? Okay? When we never, as Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 and 6 says, when we never trust in the Lord, don't leave that, I want to say it. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 and 6, when we never trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not unto our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge him, that he would direct our path. If we don't acknowledge and ask God and trust God, then how do we figure our way out? We do it what? We imagine things. I don't need God's help to do what I want to. Guess what? I don't need God's help to make the decisions I want to make. I don't need God's help to vain thing. He said they became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Let's go on. He said, professing themselves to be wise, they became what?
Fools.
Fools. Okay? Changing the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between
themselves.
Because they imagine a vain thing. God let them go all the way out. Hey, if you want sin, then have all of it. Okay? And see where it gets you, guess what? In the end. Okay? So why does the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing, the people a vain thing, that we don't want God to rule? What's so bad about God ruling over a person's life? The Bible says the steps of a good man are ordered what? By the Lord, and he delights in his way. So if God is trying to order your step, is it not perhaps that God knows better than you do? Is it not perhaps that God is trying to mold you and shape you into something that you can't make yourself into? But we rage and get upset. We resist God. We fight against God. We imagine a vain thing as if, oh, God would never judge man. Okay? So they, in this rebellion, the Bible says, look at them. Let's go back to Psalms. He said the heathen race. He said verse 2, look at verse 2. He said, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their band asunder and cast away their cords from us. I don't want to be under them. He said, not only against God, but against his anointed. Okay? And so, if you reject God, what else is there? Sin and every evil work. People don't, listen, and I've said this before, and I'll tell you, people don't go to hell because of all the wicked things that they do. They do all the wicked things that they do because Christ is not in their life. And without Christ in your life, then you will do all types of evil work. You'll get involved in any type of thing. You can be deceived in any way, led astray by anything. And therefore, God has to judge sin. Someone was talking to someone today, they called me. And I said, we spend a lot of time working on this flesh. And we pamper this thing. And we take care of this thing. But do you realize that you're going to leave this thing behind? Don't you really? You are going to leave this flesh, guess what? Behind. The thing that we give so much attention to, it's not even going with us. It's not even going with you. You spend so much time worried about this thing, and you ought to take care of yourself. I'm not knocking that. But we take so goes on. He said, they want to break the bonds. They don't want God to rule. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 5. I'm not going to read it all, but I read it to you the other day. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 5. He said, and know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And it goes on to say, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. She's going to get me to read them all, okay? Without natural affection, truth breakers, false accuser, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Go ahead and verse 3. Having a form of what?
Godliness.
Godliness. Sister Barbara, help me out. What is a form of something?
It's an imitation.
You said it's an image of something.
Yes.
Okay? It's a form. That means a form can also be blank. Anybody ever had to fill out a form? Okay. Why did you have to fill it out? Because it did not have all that it needed in it. It's a form. It's not the real thing, but it's got a lot of what looks like it is. This is what he's referring to. He said they have a form or something that would look like godliness. He said, but their godliness has a problem. What is the problem with their godliness? It has no power. In other words, their godliness doesn't change anything in them. Okay? Their godliness doesn't work through them and cause them to become more of what they want, what God wants them to be. All their godliness is a form. Okay? That's all it is. It has no substance to it. No reality. It's just what they made up. All right? And so it's just an image. All right? He said, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. So what should you do with those people? Now that's your Bible. At least, is that in your Bible?
It
Did
is.
you read that in your Bible?
I did.
Okay, so you got to look in your Bible. Because that's got to be, guess what? From such, guess what? Now, why would you think he tell you to turn away from people that have a form of godliness but denies the power thereof? At least, why would he tell you to do that?
Not to be equally yoked with
Yes, well, why would he tell you not to do that then?
because we can get mixed up in that.
Because they can affect, guess what?
Good morals.
And they can actually get you to start operating in their form. And not having, guess what? Power. See, power is something different, all right? A police officer, a security guard, let's see, I like security guards. A security guard, they're good folks. Now, there are a couple of types of security guards. There are some that carry no weapon whatsoever, and that type of security guard, how much power does he have? Okay, but he full authority. Completely different. Okay? The other two are a form of something that's supposed to represent power. Okay? But the police officer has power. He has power to arrest. He has power to detain. He has power to deal with a situation. Okay? And that's the way it is. He's given that authority and that license to operate. As a security guard, though you have a uniform, and I get every now and then I have people who walk up by me and say to me, thank you for your service. I've said, I don't do that. I work for the company. I don't work for but they think I'm a police officer. Okay? But there's no authority like they really think they have. And what God is saying is that you need to have power in your life. Power to affect things in your own life. Change things. Change the way you think. Change your attitude. Change how God wants you to live and be the things that God wants you to be. And not just be this whipping boy. Because one thing about a hardcore criminal, the hardcore criminal really don't care how much power, guess what? Yeah. Because he believes I can beat you to the draw. Okay? So you have to, sometimes as a police officer, you have to prove to a hardcore criminal, I have authority. And I will use it if I have to. A security guard, no gun, a gun, whatever you want to use. A lot of times, him using his power will get him in more trouble than him not using his power. To some degrees, it would be better in their mindset if a security guard got beat up, knocked down, almost taken out before he used, guess what? It's all many times for show. God doesn't want that in our life. He doesn't want our life to just be a show, a form of something. He wants our life to have what it's supposed to have so that when people or the enemy of our soul comes up against us, they know that I'm not just some average Joe. I am a child of God. I have power. I have authority to resist the devil, to resist in my enemies, to resist those that are trying to tear me down. And I will use it. Now, that's a whole other ballgame. To have a Christian that has power and won't use it. Okay? If you're going to walk in power, then guess what? Use it. Okay? Don't manipulate it. Don't use it to manipulate the situation, but use it to stand. All right? Let's go over to Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. Let's go to verse 10. Finally, my brother, be strong, what?
In the Lord,
And in the power of what?
his might.
Okay? Put on what? The whole armor of what? God. Why? Why should you put that on, Sister Sherry? It's a power. He's telling you why. That you may be. What is the wiles of the devil? Trick. Okay, the cunning, the craftiness, his deception and his lies. So he gives you power. God puts things in you, gives you authority to be able to operate, to know what the devil is doing, to resist the devil, to fight against the devil. That's authority. Right? So that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Now, all of this ties in because what is happening here in the book of Psalms, I'm saying all this, is because they didn't want God to rule over them. They wanted to be their own God. All right? Because they thought they had what? We can rule our own life. But all they had was a form of godliness with no power. Okay? And resisting a God says, also I will also laugh at your what? Calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. God's not allowed. When you think, oh man, I can do it on my own, I don't need nobody else, I can operate, I don't have to have God ruling me. He said, when your income, I will laugh. When your fear comes, I will laugh. I will scoff. Why? Because God says, I already know you can't make it without me. I already know there's no way you're going to make heaven without me. All right? This is man's ignorance, brothers and sisters. But look how merciful God deals with this rebellion.
Hallelujah.
Okay? Then shall he, what? Speak. Now look at what he's going to speak. Speak unto them in his wrath. And vex them in his what? Now, explain that scripture to me. We got to go real quick. Brother, explain that to me. He's going to speak to them in his wrath, and he's going to vex them in his sore displeasure. What is he saying?
He basically, I guess it sounds like even in his anger, he's just going to be speaking in it like.
Yes, even while I'm punishing them, he said, because I'm God, I'm going to still show, guess what?
Mercy.
Mercy. Okay? I'm going to still, even in our ignorance of the things that people go through in life and the rejection and all those things that sinners and people go through and saying, I'm not going to serve God, God could have judged you and I at any moment. When we were sinners, and even now, but I'm just saying we're sinners. At any time, God could have taken us out at any time. But even in those times, he allowed things to happen, and he vexed us, and he dealt with us. But at the same time, God was merciful. He gave us one more day,
Amen.
one more week, one more month, one more year, 1 years, 120 years. And finally, in his mercy, we responded to him. Okay? He said, I will speak to them. I will vex them when I'm hot. He said, look at verse 6. He said, yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. This is speaking later on, but it also speaks to us about what God did. He had Jesus crucified and lifted up what? High. Why? So that all men could see him and be drawn, guess what? To him. That's mercy. That when God could have judged us for our rebellion, he said, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to send my son. He's going to suffer. He's going to die. I'm going to lift him up high. And if you will see him, I'll spare you. You will accept and receive him. Isn't that mercy? That's what a loving God is. Okay? He said, go look at verse 7. He said, I will declare the decree. The Lord has said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten what? He's talking about who? Jesus. He's talking about Jesus. He said, I'm declaring this is my son. We read in the Bible, Matthew, we don't have time to get to it, but in Matthew chapter 3, verse 17, he tells us, he said, this is my beloved son in whom what? I'm well pleased. In John chapter 12 and verse 28, he also speaks to us about, he said, if he be lifted up, I draw all men, guess what?
Unto him.
Okay? Oh, no, it's not glorified. I got John chapter 12, verse 32 is that one. John chapter, they said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto what? Okay? And then in John chapter 12, verse 38, he said that he asked God to do something. Glorify what? He said your name. Glorify, he said, listen.
It's okay.
28, not 38. said, ask of me. He told us, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. I'll give you whatever you ask. He said, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Then he says to the people, be wise. He says, be wise. Why? Therefore, be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, O ye judge of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice, what? With trembling. Stop lifting yourself up. You can't do this without me. And then he said, kiss the Son. Lest he be what? Lest he be angry and ye perish from the way. When his wrath is kindled, but a little. Blessed are they, blessed are all they that put their trust. What? He's letting us see, brother and sister, we can't win against God. Our whole desire should be, guess what? To serve him. To serve him. And never to displease him. To look at our life and say, God, I can't do life without you. I need you in my life. Okay? I don't want to rebel against you. I want to live for you. And if you stop and think about it, brother and sister, God has been merciful to us all. Every one of us. If you only been saved one day, you can say, you know what? God's been merciful to me. All right? And so let's serve him. Not get caught up in the cares of the world and all the things. But let's do our best. Say, God, I want to please you. I want to be right with you. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your goodness and for your grace. We thank you, God, for this Bible study, for your people. We ask you, God, that you will take the things that has been shared. Let us, oh God, apply them to our life. Let us walk, live, stand in them. And Father, we'll be careful to give you all the glory, the honor, and the praise. In Jesus' name, amen. Are there any questions, comments, complaints? Anybody angry, mad, need a little touch from Jesus? You mad? All right. We love you. We appreciate you. Go with God and let